This is AV SuperFriends Off the Rails, an almost regularly scheduled open discussion on audio and video in higher education. We'll sound off about our most brilliant ideas, our dumbest mistakes, and everything in between. And because this conversation will almost certainly go off the rails at some point, we'll end up covering just about everything else. And now, the AV SuperFriends. For July 16, 2025, it's the best sounding and most technically focused podcast in higher ed. This is the AV SuperFriends Off the Rails, episode number 118.
Technically.
From coast to coast, we're broadcasting live in the heat of the summer. The signals are hot, the takes are hotter, and the AC is just barely keeping up. I'm riding the faders, running the stream, and trying not to melt before the end of the show. My name's Chris Decter, and you're in for another Friday afternoon podcast adventure on this Wednesday afternoon. Blame Mark, because he said don't do it on Friday.
And my AC works. Brand new.
My AC doesn't work on Fridays.
Yeah. Well, it's actually not all that hot here anyway.
We didn't pay for Friday AC.
You have to pay for that subscription.
It's premium day.
That's
costs
where,
more.
That's
It's
where
cloud,
we're headed.
Cloud AC.
All right, so let's say hello to today's panel of AV SuperFriends. Where's this one? So he's officially in charge of airflow optimization, which means yelling, "Shut that rack door," for the 5th time this week. He's a director of thermal management and passive aggression from Kansas City. Say hello to Jamie Reinhardt.
That actually fits me to a T.
I worked on this. Our next contestant confirms conference rooms maintain both 72 degrees Fahrenheit and 72% participation. He has a fan, a towel, and a very short fuse. He's a certified Zoom room stabilization engineer from Corvallis, Oregon. Say hello to Mark Kolozinski.
It's all hot air and clouds. Every bit of it.
And Larry's not here, so he doesn't get to hear that one. Our final contestant keeps gear cool during the summer installations by strategically misting the encoders, and he knows which Pelican cases can be turned into ice chests most effectively. He's our vice president for seasonal streaming infrastructure hydration from Bowling Green, Kentucky. Say hello to Mr. Justin Rexing.
Sounds like I'm laying pipe.
Take it back. Take it back.
Like a plumber?
He missed it. All right.
Mild of it.
Walked right past that one. So on today's
I don't
show,
know. I don't think I did.
No. On today's show, we're going to discuss automatic cameras and what are they good for. Anybody? No?
Crickets?
Laying pipe.
No. What are they good for?
The song?
The song, yeah.
Absolutely nothing. Hey, I won that. I won that game show. I got that right.
You're
on the board.
All be jumping right
You're on the board with a quarter of a point. Just
I'll give you a half point.
I got that.
So we're going to discuss automatic cameras and commercial displays that seem to be getting cheaper, but also seem to be getting worse. But first, some housekeeping and something I want to start doing more often here, but I want to start this one new today. Because we change our artwork every episode, almost.
Yes.
And we don't often
Apple
make...
iTunes doesn't always change it, though.
So we've noticed that like,
fights.
If you use the Apple Podcast app, first of all, please stop, because it is terrible. It does the bare minimum that you need to do and nothing more.
Oh.
So there's all these additional features and things you're not seeing. So please go get a different application. I know a lot of people do. It's still like by far the most popular. Go get a different application. I recommend go to podcastapps.com, and there's like a list of hundreds. You can pick them on there. But anyway, so we change our artwork every show, and we change the feed artwork every show, and we don't often talk about what that is and where it comes from. So I want to make sure that we start just kind of recognizing the artwork from the most recent episode and start working our way backwards. So our artwork is always based on one of our alternate show titles, which you don't use. We generally try to find the one that's got the most visual appeal or most visual impact, and that becomes the artwork. So on the last, the Infocom ones don't count because I just used the Infocom background that did that. Because we did a whole bunch of those. But the last one we changed was it's a little picture of Mark, and if you look at it, it's a little like it's a pocket mark
hanging out in the pocket, which has been the cover on iTunes now for the past month.
Because iTunes sucks at
hanging out, and here I am.
And so that was based on a comment that somebody made on, I think it was the Infocom wrap-up show.
Yeah.
A little mark in your pocket.
Right, that you'd have an expert in your pocket with you with some of these AV tools, and that's where that came from. So I believe the phrase actually was "mini mark in your pocket." So
Yeah.
so I'm gonna try to do this every show that we talk about what was the last artwork, what did it come from, where did that exist. So if you're not reading the show notes, there's all sorts of other stuff in there. We put in alternate show titles, all sorts of fun stuff in there. So
And if you're a guest on the show, you get to hang out and help us choose, and usually we let you choose them, and that's how a lot of this stuff comes to be too. So
that
come
is
on
true.
the show.
So advantage to being a guest on the show. All right. So also, if you are listening to this as a recorded MP3, we do stream live on Fridays, except when today we're streaming live on a Wednesday. So follow us on the socials when we actually stream when we feel like it.
on Friday also. You may get a double header this week.
We will stream on Friday. So yeah, you get double show on this week. So anyway, follow us on Twitter, LinkedIn, YouTube, Blue Sky, all those fun places to find out when we actually go live and stream stuff. Wait, I take it back. Not Blue Sky, because they don't have much integration with damn near anything. Also, there's nobody on Blue Sky, so don't care. If you can't join us live, we still want you to connect with us on those same socials. So hit us up on Twitter, LinkedIn, YouTube, Blue Sky, etc. Please don't forget to spread the word. So share this podcast with your friends, enemies, colleagues, perfect strangers, anyone else who might enjoy it. If you could cause some sort of scene at the DMV, have I used that one before? I think I have.
Yeah, you have.
Ooh,
You've
I
used
was just there last week.
Did you cause a scene and
Are you
force
getting your
people
real
to?
ID?
Oh, I already had that. No, just a normal, everyday. Get your
I did
cars
that.
ready.
Just for fun? You just went to hang out, to see what's going
Oh
on?
well, I mean, what else you do on a small town on a Friday morning?
So the DMV for me is on the way home. I stop by on my way home from campus every day, and I take a number, then I leave. Just because I know.
I mean, an appointment enrolled in when there was like lines. People were pissed, and I was like, "Oh yeah, just walk on in." And how about angry people when you just like walk up in there after you just walk in the door and there's like 100 people sitting there?
Oh,
They love
really?
that. Yeah.
Well,
You know.
next time you're at the DMV, ask some people to subscribe to our show and make sure they're not using Apple Podcasts as their application. So, if you want to support the show, please consider donating. Your contributions help to keep us bringing you the honest content that you love or that you love to hate, depending on what your take is on it. You can find that donation link in the show notes of this very episode on our website. We do want to hear from you, so if there's something you'd like us to cover and you want to reach out, please send us an email, mailbag at avsuperfriends.com. I get a ton of messages through there, most of which are just kind of like spamming people who want to sign us up for their advertising services. So
You should talk to this person who has nothing to do with anything we talk about.
yeah, tell me that you never listened to our show without telling me that by trying to pitch yet another person who has nothing to do with what we do on our show. So,
But he's a leader, Chris. This one's a leader.
some of them get really aggressive too, and I have to like finally respond to them and tell them to knock it off. And finally, when you're listening to us on YouTube, Spotify, Apple Podcasts, wait, stop listening there. Go get a different app. But wherever you're listening to us, please leave a rating and review, because that helps to bump us up in the algorithms, and then more people see the show and all that fun stuff. So, all right. All that being said, we're gonna take a quick break. No, we're not. We're gonna do the news. Let's do the news.
Let's do the news.
All right.
Yeah.
And
I had some
today's
bandwidth
news-
problems there. Yeah.
Yes, you did.
You want me to run it again for you?
No, it's fine.
might
we
break it.
We know it's news. What's the news, Chris? What
All
do you
right.
got?
Today's news, and we covered this news once before. This was strange. So
We
about
did.
a year
Was this like a
ago-
follow up? Yeah.
I guess call it a follow-up. A year ago, Panasonic announced they were in the middle of some big buyout with a financial firm, and Panasonic was reorging, and all sorts of crazy stuff was going on. And we were assured that, well, we're not really changing anything. It's just, the business is being structured differently, but we're still going to be selling projectors. We're still going to be selling displays. We're still going to be doing all that fun stuff. It took a year, and then it comes back, and they've called the whole thing off. Which is
Oh, they did?
Yeah.
Yeah.
it's news to
Just the other
Justin
day.
now too.
It's news.
So,
Yeah. They decided they're not going
this
to
came out last week.
Yeah. What was the name of what was the company that was supposedly going to take the projector? Was it
Big
the-
Money Conglomero
something?
Incorporated.
Like I can't remember. What it was
Oryx.
called.
So
Oryx,
yeah, the headline is it's the second link there in the show notes, Justin, if you want to look at it.
I'll look at it later.
The headline, this comes from AV Magazine. Link is in the show notes for those of you listening. And it's Panasonic sale of projector business to Oryx is called off. And apparently this was some sort of mutual agreement. They couldn't decide on the terms, and they couldn't decide what percentage people were going to own or who was going to own what, or I don't know. And they just walked away from it.
I was going to say, that's got to be complicated when, I mean, I don't.
Yes.
Yeah.
Absolutely. But I think the weirder part is if you all were independently wealthy, Chris, if you were just a little less independently wealthy and you were out there looking,
I'm not
to
independently
purchase
wealthy.
some-
I'm mutually wealthy.
yes, if you were out there looking for, I don't know, some acquisition, I just want to kind of just curious, would you be wanting to sink your money into a projection company? Yes or no? Do you think there's rapid growth in projection? Just curious. Because my answer would be no.
I would.
I wouldn't.
I would probably do it, knowing that they would have to change their business model at some point and go direct via LED anyway, if the market shifts that way.
Well, there you go. You just said it, right?
So you're buying in low.
So much discussion around like direct view that my guess is somebody's like, hey, Chuck, I'm not really sure we should be investing in a projection company right now. Like, just let you know.
Well, it's more than that, though. You would be investing in their clientele and their business model, and you know that they're going to be coming out with some stuff, and well, it's a gamble, it is.
But we had some internal conversations with the folks we do at Panasonic, and there actually was a level of excitement from what I heard. That there was newfound resources were going to be made available because of the financial pieces. So there was excitement. They were going to have some growth. So it was interesting to see how it just kind of fizzled out and fell apart. And it was taking a long time. It was almost a year now, or whatever.
It was over a year
going
ago,
on.
Because it was right before, if you recall, we had Daryl on where he tried to.
From the
airplane. Some sort of no, this was the one where he was on some sort of super lockdown laptop that wouldn't let him connect.
Oh yeah.
But it was like right before Infocom, and it kind of came up with like, wait, this is being announced like 2 weeks before Infocom or a week and a half before Infocom. Are we going to see changes or whatever? And it was no, because it seems to be very much, as you mentioned, Mark, kind of a financial capital sort of deal, not an operational change, but clearly something in the intermixing, interim year, whatever. But that word I can't think of.
Mid-year.
Something
somewhere
in the
middle.
year, it fell apart for some reason. So
yes.
Yeah.
Whoa.
But I'm curious. I mean, I don't know. Will we see changes? Or will the falling part of this deal have larger consequences for Panasonic as a brand because they're losing that cash infusion? Like that's what I'm curious about.
Why do they need it? Did they need it? Or they just?
I don't know. Well, there was excitement for it.
I don't know if like Panasonic. Look, we know Panasonic corporate is so giant. They probably it didn't matter them at all. But I think this in combination with the weird, to me, rebrand to, was it Merv? What is it?
Merkin.
That's not it. That is not it.
No.
Thanks, though, for putting that into my head. That's all I needed to know. Yeah.
It was something like that. It was something inscrutable.
Yeah. And it's in this article.
Mixoplick. I don't remember.
In these articles too, it's like it's this combination of not only is there a potential for this restructuring of their business, but also a rebranding of a company so that the Panasonic name starts to become removed from the and does it lose some prestige? Does it lose some trustworthiness? Does it lose the value that Panasonic brings? The units might be the same old units, but after a while, I don't know. So I'm curious too. I found it.
Would you buy a projector if it was okay? Here's XYZ brand that you know and trust, and we're going to rebrand that in 5 years down the road. Like, are you still buying that if you know that it's Mercantile Exchange Projection Co?
Mercantech.
Like what? I feel like if you poll enough people, they're going to be like, I'm going to probably look at the field. Like it just doesn't feel. Nothing around it seems like sound financial.
I suspect where it came from was it was focused entirely financially, and they were like, what are the margins? What are you guys selling? How much your volume? And it looked good as a place to invest and kind of own that. And maybe either as they've dug deeper or exactly what you said, they're kind of like, after they got into that, they looked farther afield and were, maybe not.
Now, granted, a lot has changed in the market and industry over the last year and a half, too.
Has it, though?
I think so. I think if you were to poll people, what's their investment level in technologies today versus what it was 16, 18 months ago, I think you're probably starting to see some plateau, if not some actually pulling back of investment in technologies.
Yeah. And as per usual, we're just a bunch of goobers that really don't know any part about any of this.
This is not financial advice.
Yourself.
This is not financial advice.
I've been investing based on what we've been talking about this entire time.
I mean,
I was a millionaire.
I normally
started the show. I'm now.
I normally consult on multinational conglomerate
What do we do on the side?
business transactions, but this particular one I didn't.
Well, to be fair, they did ask how you got that number and what were you doing on the call.
Well,
I bought one share, so I was here at the.
I will say,
sometimes you just get lucky when you type in the weird
dialing.
numbers.
I will say the rebrand thing is very strange. Knock it off, please stop. Just making
and if you're going to do it, I don't understand why it's not like I'm not seeing that marketing reflect it.
No, well,
like I saw the name on the shirt different and Infocom, and every so often you see.
Oh, those would be the shirts to have now.
It's just
the Merkin shirts.
The Merkin shirts, yes.
Oh boy.
Anyhow, so it's not happening. So all you that are wishing for it to happen, it's not going to happen. So,
or all of those of you who forgot that it was even going to happen to begin with, it's not happening at all. So don't worry about it.
It was our reaction when we saw the news from last week on that. So, all right. Well, let's take a quick break. We're going to run a comment here. What do you call it? Commercial. That's the term I'm looking for. We're running a commercial. We're going to come back. We're going to talk about stuff and things. What are we talking about today? We were talking about automatic cameras and all the joys that come with that. So,
right.
This one. The AV SuperFriends are sponsored by Computer Comforts Incorporated. CCI has been building tech furniture for the education market since 1987. Instructor lecterns, computer lab tables, collaborative tables, and active learning clusters are just a few of the many innovative products made by CCI. Speaking of lecterns, Computer Comforts has just released Evolve. If you're looking to future-proof your classroom, Evolve is the Swiss Army knife of lecterns. Seriously, this flexible lectern does it all. Not only is Evolve sit-to-stand and ADA compliant, it's also packed with tech-friendly features. And the best part, it ships fully assembled and ready for action. Check out the 90-second video to see all the options. Visit computercomforts.com/evolve. All right, so I got to do this one. Hold on, got this one.
Topic is talk. Hot takes. Topic 1 starts now.
Topic 1.
Yes, topical.
All right. It says hot takes on it too.
Yeah, that's hot.
So topic 1 today is automatic cameras and what are they good for and all that fun stuff. So, I want to back up on this. So this is based on a presentation I did at Infocom, which none of you guys showed up to, by the way. Room full of people, none of you were there.
The camera didn't work.
I was busy.
So was I. Presenting. So.
Oh, how was the audience?
I just ignored it.
Jamie was busy.
I don't know. It went well. We had a lot of good interaction with the. It was well attended. We had a lot of good interaction with the people there. A lot of good questions. A lot of people interested in it. Interested in the presentation on that. So
was the
that went well.
CPR thing?
No, it wasn't. So that's the thing.
Good.
That was one aspect to it, but it was a very general, like, what type of automated camera technologies and automated camera solutions are out there. And so that's what, like I said, I want to step back on this. Okay. So this is not about the giant appliances driving AI visual driven whatever stuff. That was part of it. It's not about automatic preset systems. That was part of it. It was also about auto framing. It was about the on-camera processing visual auto tracking systems. It was about the ones queuing on audio. It was on the ones queuing on information from other cameras in the space. So we tried to cover the gamut on the and also ones based on environmental and control inputs too. So we tried to cover the gamut on all the different types of camera automations is out there, where it works, where it doesn't. I've been doing a lot of deployments. I think all of us in various ways have been
different versions of them. Yeah.
Different versions of this. Yeah. To some extent. I will say I had an interesting experience about 3 weeks ago. We've been doing the auto framing all-in-one conferencing bars for years because that's a nice solution for a small space. I had the first request for somebody to say, can you make sure the software is running on it was an admin versus user level thing. That was, thanks, deployment. Can we make sure we have the software running so we can manually steer the camera around? And I was like, this is the first time in however many 100+ of these systems I've done where someone's actually wanted that. So, okay.
Why did they want it? Did you ask, like, why do you want to do that?
So they used to have an older system in there with manually steered PTZ cameras, and they liked the ability to to set up the frame specifically of certain. I was like, okay, they had a very kind of narrow and
they had a unique need, and they wanted to be able to recreate that.
And that need, by the way, is incorrect.
They didn't want it automated.
They wanted control.
I think they want control until they realize they now have to like go into an app and click that around. But
do you find, or in this conversation that may or may not have unfolded in Infocom, was there kind of some lines in the sand where people like it, and versus where they don't like it? Was there any conversation around that? So I can say kind of our perspective here is that we have a lot of folks that are interested in it in the cookie cutter conferencing collaboration room. Like, give me a small integrated sound bar, put it on there, but I will also then follow up and say, more often than not, it is asked to be turned off after the fact for whatever reason. They're like, cool, that's neat, but it's a little bit noisy for us. Can you like just frame it out and let us manually control from thereafter? That's typically how it goes. Not every single time, but more often than not, that ends up being the story. And that's for that type of space.
Yeah, we've had about maybe less than 5% of our clients through, the university and my business, both, which is not much, say that the camera was too good and zoomed in too close. What was happening is there's a conference room with 10 chairs and there's 2 people in there and they're sitting in the front. And when they start Zoom, all they see is their big face on the screen because nobody's joined yet. And they're like, oh my God. So that's first impression of that camera.
Just one big head.
Yeah. And they were like, you need to turn off the auto blah, blah, blah. It's like, oh, okay. So we just set it wide and just let it run. But it's just a, preference.
Sure.
Yeah.
And to me, that's kind of that flavor, right? You have like the conference room scenario. We've toyed with potentially auto framing, auto tracking, whatever you want to call it, in learning spaces, but
we're doing a little bit of it.
We haven't really gone down the road yet because I think we're stuck on this little concept of like being able to turn it off, turn it on, right? If you like it, whatever, but then you go away.
And then some manufacturers don't allow you to do that through the touch panel. It's only on the remote. And then you're like, well, I can't.
Exactly. And we've also found that instructors, for whatever reason, different topic, just don't want to be pressing a bunch of buttons. They just don't want to be burdened with that. They don't want to have to like engage, disengage, turn on, turn off, do that stuff. They just don't want to do it. And so
I don't want to do it.
It ends up being left in whatever the last state it was in. And so it's not really being leveraged or used the way that it may be intended, which then kind of leaves us in this weird lurch because we just don't know what's the right approach because we just got mixed feedback all around. So, but Chris, you're actually doing it, and so I would say to some level of success. And have you gotten feedback from folks?
Yeah, so that's where this presentation started. Was kind of like a lightweight case study on our first. Like I said, we've been doing auto framing stuff or the ones built into cameras, but like our first intentional wide scale deployment is a little over a year old. Yeah, about a year old. No, a little over a year, whatever. Some number of months. New, relatively new.
They're not buying it
But we've been able to gather some feedback from people on their thoughts on it. And also that has kind of some of what you're talking about there. Yeah. That has informed how we are deploying some of these, not from the physical locations or any of that stuff. That has not changed. The cameras are cameras and microphones are microphones, but how we're operating them in the system. So one of the things is we found from faculty initially, we had the automatic system off by default. So they had to enable it. We wanted to put them in charge of the cameras. So these cameras are going to be dumb until you push that button, and then they will look around the room depending on what's going on in the space. Which is kind of, and that follows our mantra of like, you go into a room that's got microphones, those microphones are off until you enable them. You are in charge of what's going on in your space. That's very much, and that changes campus by campus by campus. So there's people listening right now who do it completely differently. That's fine. That's
is this a distance education strategy or a recording strategy? Like what's the strategy? What was the reason for this enabling feature to begin with?
Back up even more. All right. Yeah. So during COVID, as many schools did, or as every school did, there was kind of the ready, fire, aim method of let's get cameras and mics in these rooms.
Or doc cams.
Or doc cams that were just aimed at people. Or owls everywhere. Flocks of owls. What's a flock of owls? Murders of owls? I don't know.
Moose.
Turlets of owls. Anyway,
toilets?
These things were everywhere. They were not well deployed. Well, it was not slapdash. That's not the right term, and that's not fair to it. But it was just like, let's get stuff out there because we were haphazard. It was done expediently. Yeah. So this was just the point of this initially. And we did one building initially because there's one building on campus that is entirely general pool, general inventory. It's not owned by any department, any college, anybody. It's just classrooms for people.
Classroom flavored.
And we used that one because it would be the widest application to campus, so it'd be exposed to the most number of departments, the most number of colleges, the most number of students, all that stuff. There's everything in there from small seminar rooms to seat, I think that's 11 people, to lecture halls to seat 250. So the whole gamut was covered. So it was a good opportunity for us to say, like, we're going to try this, we're going to go big, and we're going to get a lot of data based on how people use this stuff in different spaces. So it was an intentional choice to do that. And as we were then, I mentioned the physical mounting of cameras, but as we were mounting cameras, we made sure that we put them in places that made the most sense too, because some of them, due to expediency and things of where the cabling and all that stuff was, the cameras were kind of to the side of the room. And so, you realize, well, now even when I'm looking at the students or looking at the instructor, I'm looking at the side of their head. So you get that, awkward experience. And we really wanted to focus on ensuring that the people who were remote had the most level of interaction possible, so they felt like they could fully interact with the class. They could be in the room. They could see who was talking. They felt like they were part of the class. They weren't just somebody who was remotely viewing this over a TV screen, and they felt like they were a second-tier participant in this sort of thing, which I'll be brutally honest is how most of the remote learning stuff that was done during
surveillance
COVID
is not.
Right. I can see the room. It's a wide shot of the room, and there's 60 heads in that room, and I don't know who's really talking or what's going on, and I can sort of pay attention, and it's not great. So we wanted to improve that experience based on when the instructor is presenting. I want to be able to see and hear them clearly, and I wanted to, Justin, your comment about giant heads, maybe we need a giant head shot so I can clearly see that person in the room. We want to make sure we're capturing stuff written on physical whiteboards, marker boards, chalkboards, glass boards, whatever you want to call them. We use dedicated cameras for that in a lot of cases, not all cases, because some rooms just physically won't support that. But most importantly, when students were speaking, we wanted to improve what was being seen from, the as much as we'd like to change it, and we're not there yet, the wide sea of faces in a room seating 30, 40, 60, 200 people. I want to know who is speaking, and because if I'm in the room, I can turn and look at them, but I can't do that when I'm looking at that back shot of the room and I can't see what's going on. So that was the intention. What we realized by setting it initially to be off by default, so instructors were in charge, we realized, well, it's not really serving that purpose because those features are not being enabled. Yes, when they connect to a Zoom or Teams or Google Call or whatever, the cameras wake up and they go to their default preset 1, which is generally a medium shot of the room, but it usually just stays there and it wasn't moving. And we were kind of like, this is exactly what we had before. This is not getting us anything. So we just turned it on. So it's on by default. And we still put the instructors in charge. You don't like that? Go turn it off. What we found is initially faculty wanted it off by default because they want to be in charge. It's very much a cultural thing here on campus that they want to be the ones in charge of the space. They are the experts in the space. They are in charge operationally of the space when class is in session. I get that. Like I said, we ran into the challenge of that because we just weren't getting the data. Is this of value or anything? So we turned it on. What we have found since then is faculty don't notice it doing its thing. It's turning and looking at people and whatnot. In most cases, it's fine. It's invisible. It's changing cameras. It's changing views. Some of them are physically moving, depending, and then steering within the censored frame there. It's happening invisibly. And when you ask them for feedback, they're like, "Oh, I didn't even know it did that." Which is
so. Are they? Do you find? Maybe this could be anecdotal. Are they just delivering classes the same way they always have?
Yeah.
So yes. Okay. I'm going to say yes, but.
No, that I want to tease it out because I think that's the key here is that.
Yes, but because this is also part of a parallel project with our Center for Teaching and Learning and our Vice Provost for Distance and Online Education, who are really driving to like, look, yes, we all recognize we need to be better at, and if Larry was here, he would yell at us for it, but distance and hybrid learning, which I'm going to use very generically, and he hates that. But
be intentional.
But we need to be intentional about it. We need to build our curriculum towards it. We need to build our teaching methodology, styles, modalities towards that. So these are baby steps. So what we did is we removed, at least initially, we can't go rebuild the building. This is an existing building from 1960 something or other. So, whatever. We can improve the technology so it supports those things better, not perfectly, but better. So we've removed that hurdle, because that was one of the things we heard from feedback through our Center for Teaching and Learning was, well, we can't do that because the rooms I'm in don't do that. The rooms I'm in just have a webcam, or just like you said, a dock cam just kind of aimed at me. So yes, I can be seen online, but it's not really what we need to do what we want to do. And so that was kind of a hurdle for them. So we're like, well, great. Now the rooms have these capabilities in this building that is owned by nobody. So everyone can teach in that room, regardless of size of class, from the smallest to the largest class. So we remove that deliberately. So now it's kind of like that hurdle has been removed. And now the online and distance education group and the Center for Teaching and Learning are working on the curriculum side. So it is intentional. And that is like phase 2 of this. So to answer your question, yes, but they're still teaching the same way they were, but with the eye on the future that they're working on being more intentional about including classes that are built for distance or hybrid capability are built intentionally for that, not slapped on there because of COVID.
So it sounds like you're going to keep doing it.
Oh yeah.
So
initially I did like 20 some of these rooms, 27 rooms, I think this way. Since then I've done another 60 or 70. So yes.
And do you have an enrollment piece that is different? So, or does every class automatically have a distance piece?
You mean as far as like getting like a Canvas shell and all that stuff?
So if I'm just in whatever 101 class I'm teaching, can a student choose to whether come into the room or can they take it remotely? Do they have an option, or is there a separate enrollment? Is it a different product?
My the short answer is I don't know, because that's a different group who's figuring that stuff out. My understanding is they're working very specifically with the departments and the colleges to identify which classes are hybrid both modalities and which are not, because some faculty don't want to do that, and some things don't work towards that. So, but I don't know the answer to the question about how they can enroll. Do they have that open choice? I'm not sure of that answer.
Yeah.
So.
And that's always an interesting piece of it. But going to like the technical bits here in doing that, now we kind of have this reasoning for wanting to move this way. I think everybody has that cause in the back of their mind. Oh, we're going to do this. It's going to enable all these pieces. And so, but then you kind of go through the process. You deploy, you integrate, you do all these things, but then you are kind of left wondering, well, was it worth it? Was it the experience that we were hoping for? Did we get out of it what we thought we wanted to?
So to that point, I will say that there is a unsubstantial monetary value associated with this. In the rooms where I've gone the most fancy schmancy, for lack of a better term, I will say at the outset, I have 0 of the dedicated appliances that drive the cameras through AI stuff. Crestron One Beyond, QSys,
those big multi-rack.
I have 0 of those.
Yeah.
I see very little utility for those on my campus. For some people on their campuses, they put those everywhere, and it's great, fantastic. If that works for you, if that works for your institution, by all means.
I got a lot of money.
Well, there's that too. The highest end solution I'm using is the camera preset recall based on either audio information or control and environmental stuff.
Yeah.
What I like about that is even when the cameras, they go to a shot that we set up, we identify anything over on this side, you get this shot. So you're kind of more in control of it. I kind of like that. But then even within that, it'll auto frame within that to look at, hey, I went to this medium shot. There's only 8 people on that side of the auditorium. So to steer in, it actually works very well. And we did one where we went a little nuts. And kudos to one of my guys, Curtis, who did this a couple of years ago, where he took an auditorium and took the 2 shots of the auditorium and did it down to like every group of like 4 seats. He spent way too much time on that, and we recognize that that's not going to happen. But the effect of it was actually very, very well done, from like it moving around to different people during events and things like that. So when that room is full and people are asking questions, it's really interactive to the point where, not quite, but it's almost to the level of like, is there like a student there, like with a tripod, kind of aiming this around? Because it's almost to that level if you really dial it in. So to that extent, again, the goal being, if you're remote, it's a much more interactive experience. You feel like you're much more involved and you're much more part of the conversation. So in that sense, I would give it a qualified, not an unqualified, but a qualified, yes, it has been an improvement to things. So,
and we use some of this, right? And so But I think primarily it's in that conference room environment. Right? We do some different room systems, and those room systems integrate well with some of that auto tracking, and you do get the ability to put them in manual and override that. And so we've had mixed success with those. The takeaway being, I think it's kind of in the user. Some people really like it, and some people just do not, and they don't want to go anywhere near it. And it's left us kind of wondering, like, which way is the best way, and that.
So for you, again, is it on by default or off by default?
It's on by default.
Okay.
Right. And so, and in the conference room, those who want it, that's kind of what they expect. And then those who don't, they're like, no, can we just turn this off? And we do. But it's weird because we don't know if has made it to need to have, or it's still in the neat to have phase of things. Right. Nobody's been so adamant about it. We've lightly put it out there. If I call it AI, people seem to be intrigued by it, and then they're like, "Oh yeah, we want that," right? And it's like, "Oh cool," and then they play with it, and you're like, "Well, it's almost what we want, and it's close," and you're like, "It works a lot of times, but sometimes we just don't want it to be so busy, so we turn it off." That's fine, and
it can at times get lost and kind of get confused and whatnot. So yes, it's not perfect.
The way that I often ask people when I'm doing a consult around it, I ask people, have you been on the far end of it before? Have you been the person who's not in the room?
And they always say no.
A lot, and you're absolutely right. A lot of times, like, well, no, I haven't. I don't really know what it's like. I'm like, well,
they also say that
do you want to set
on
up a
an
meeting?
owl cam,
right? And a lot.
I've never seen.
You do see a lot of that in the owl cam. It's like people are like, oh, they think they want the owl cam. I'm like, I ask them, have you been on the far end of that?
No.
And they're like, well, no, I've just been in the room when it's being used. I'm like, well, you have no idea what it does. And so I would like to set up a call with you and let's walk through it. And I want to get your reaction, because I can build all this stuff out in the room. It's not for you in that room. It's for the people who are not in the room.
You're
right?
spending money for the foreign
understand that.
participants.
And so we're actually catering to that experience, not your experience talking to the person across from you in the table. And so we try to do a lot of that, like, taste testing with this so people can understand it. And it's been mixed. I don't know if one camp is kind of winning this this war, so to speak, or the other, but and maybe we're not the best at doing it. That could be a possibility. I will say that, but we're kind of following all the instructions, doing everything we're supposed to be doing, but we haven't done the full-fledged giant room multi-camera ACPR type deployments. Most of them are more in your large seminar room / conference room, and it's been like 50-50 for us.
We're doing 2 or 3 of those right now, so we'll see how that goes.
Conference rooms or the bigger rooms?
The conference rooms. Like conference seminars, like that weird new style.
Automatic, the QSIS.
So I will say at the outset, I mean, it's not limited to QSIS. I do want to say before we get too far into this that there's multiple types out there. In the last, say, like 2 years, the auto framing, auto tracking. Sorry, I get these mixed up. The auto presets, auto framing, auto tracking. I just call them automatic, or I think we call them auto cameras. I think on the
just AI cameras. It's just all AI.
Yeah. Then it says OWL, depending on the font. It's OWL cameras. Not that OWL camera. The other OWL camera.
Owl.
The owl.
The OWL.
2 letters, not 3 letters.
The basic cameras, the non-automatic tracking cameras, auto preset cameras that we use are generally from PTZ Optics. And PTZ Optics has enabled, like, across the board. They're like, here's basic auto tracking based on the visual input. Hey, look, there's
it does
weird,
okay,
and it actually does a decent job. I will say, depending on the space you're in, it can get lost and confused and things like that. But like that front, that traditional classroom front of shot, there's generally one person up there walking back and forth. It's pretty good at following that person around. So for like your $1,000 camera, it's not a bad way to go. So we started picking a couple of rooms where we've enabled that, and the interface is identical. And again, faculty don't care. Is that a fancy schmancy true AI enabled auto tracking camera up there, or is it kind of this more basic one that's just looking at the human shaped blob and sort of following around as best it can? Faculty don't care, and the button says automatic, and they just hit the automatic thing and it just works, and they're like, it's good enough. So
when you're putting I'm in the camp that Mark was talking about earlier. I have a few of the the auto cameras in the conference rooms, that will move around, software-based things. But once I get to a classroom, my experience past previous. I haven't done this in the last couple of years, so things have progressed. I think we can all agree on that. But it was just a better experience to do it the quote hard way, the old way.
Drive it.
Yeah, drive it somehow with some kind of external cue, whether it was audio, whether it's motion sensors, whether it's something, right? Drive it some other way. So, Chris, my question to you is, these recent deployments, are they the software-based auto movements, or are they external cued movements? I mean, you may not be doing it the hard.
When you say software based, you mean internal to the camera itself?
Yeah, like the PTZ optics thing you just described. Where okay, great.
So the short answer, am I doing it one way or the other? The answer is yes. I'm actually doing it 4 different ways on campus, and we're using the same generic term of just automatic cameras and auto cameras, because I don't want people to think about the technology. I've even had to caution some of my guys, like, we use all QSYS, and QSYS calls theirs ACPR, automatic camera preset recall.
Yeah.
I tell them, don't use that phrase. That confuses people. They don't know what ACPR is. They hate that. Don't call it automatic cameras, because they don't care. To your point, they don't care what technology is actually driving it. They just want that end result if that's something they want. So to your question, we're using a lot of different options on it, and some are auto EPTZ within, the camera frame, and it steers within that. Some are physically moving based on presets that we have set up, and I like that because it allows you that level of kind of the finished product is kind of better, because you're ensuring that even when it does its own thing, you're in control of what that's going to look like. The more basic automatic ones, and Lumens and Aver and PTZ Optics, and all these provide that, and it's very affordable these days, has gotten good enough that I'm thinking like widely starting to deploy those, because the delta, like I said, there's a not insignificant delta there, and it's roughly about $5,000 per room. So do your math on that. For $5,000, is it worth that? Maybe not everywhere. It's worth that in certain spaces.
It depends
on that. Well, and it depends on that the client in the space. The College of Business may say, we want the best, because our students are paying more, and we want to make sure that they are getting the best possible experience. So $5,000 to them on a room that costs $30,000 is not a huge deal. For others, $5,000 on top of $30,000, that's a big ask, and we can take that out and get them. Can we get them 80%, 75% of the way there with more affordable solutions? Probably. And we're doing that.
That's why I wanted to ask that question. And you answered it the way I assumed you were going to. I just wanted to kind of clarify internally, because I'm doing, I don't like using the ACPR, because it's kind of become a branded thing. Even though when you break it out to the full definition, that's the old school way of doing it, whether you're using an auto mixer, whether you're using whatever. So that's the way I've been deploying it.
And by the way, you are exactly right. There is, yes, it's software driven and there's process difference, but from the end result, it's very similar to the thing that everyone was doing 20 years ago. I push the push to talk button on the desk, and the camera goes to that shot of that side of the room. It's very similar to that. So if you understand that process, it's the same kind of general operation.
Yeah, they just made it easier to deploy, and kudos to them. Yeah. I even though the phrase is correct, I don't like to make it sound like I'm using the branded thing.
Correct.
But I find that to be like the tried and true. I know I can make this work somehow. But I am intrigued. I have not used some of the newer software-based solutions. And, are they better? Is it worth looking at again? And can you hybrid it? Can you have like a preset recall, and then let the camera's brains take over from there? So if you had 5 people in the let's go back to that. Well, my pharmacy program, right? So I had these auditoriums that they do this in all the time, and I've had to go through the push to talk or the auto mixer BS, but I can usually get down to about 6 to 8 reliably students. If I'm using microphones
you clusters
only.
of students, yeah.
But if I could trigger that 6 to 8 and then allow the camera's brains to take over and narrow that down to 1 or 2, because usually they have a better way of zooming in and making it look like it was a person, an intentional slow pan, slow zoom, instead of the jerkiness sometimes you get with the older cameras. And I just haven't done it. So some of this conversation within the last 2 years, so some of this conversation is interesting, because I badmouth auto cameras all the time because I think like Owl Cam, Owl, like the actual one we usually make fun of.
Which, to be fair, has its place. It's just not.
It has its place, but we see them put in the wrong place too often, and have a terrible experience, or the wrong PTZ optics camera with the right PTZ optics camera with the right software package that's actually doing its job correctly was put in the wrong way, and I see that a lot.
How does that happen? Like I'm so confused by this conversation.
They'll put it on the side of the room, or they'll make it so that it's pointing at the instructor's area, but the door's next to it. Or they'll catch.
Well, that's just design. Like
that's true.
just
okay. They did it wrong.
Yeah.
And so the experience to your guys' points earlier, the experience from the end user, from the person on the other side of this lens, it is terrible, and I avoid it at all costs. Maybe I need to look into it again. You guys sound like you've done a little bit more with it.
Well, it's just weird because I'm listening to this conversation, and maybe it's just the culture I live in, but 100% of the cameras that I put in anymore are automatic, following, moving, tracking, AI bullshit. Because
it's on.
Yeah, we don't put cameras in classrooms everywhere. Number one. So when we're asked for a classroom that needs a camera and Zoom capable, you're like, okay, well, let's talk about what that experience looks like, and going through the needs analysis. Yeah, of course I want to try the automatic moving camera for the same price. Yeah. And you're okay. So you just throw it in. Now then there's that higher level where we're doing a few rooms right now where, you talk with a person and they're like, we want a production level, the best you can get. And that's where we're using the ACPR stuff, because it's going to be a little bit better than just buying a PTZ optics. Right. So that's, we don't really, all our conference rooms has auto framing. None of them don't. And we've turned them off in a couple places, but.
Yeah. And I think when we're for us, we deploy them everywhere, and mostly for lecture capture, but I don't care what they use them for, right? We're trying to enable something. And if they're brave enough to try something with it, then, at least if they complain, I know they tried it and we can try to fix it, right? Yeah. But we put them everywhere. So that's where I'm with our faculty preferences are kind of like Chris's, where they would prefer it off and turn it on, rather than have it on automatically. They get annoyed and frustrated that it's doing things they didn't want it to do. Now, that was also a kind of a curious thing, is because I get a lot of complaints because they are watching themselves more than they're watching the students when they have a call like this. So they notice the camera moving around and hopping around weird because they see themselves, that they're looking at themselves.
That? Yeah, I know how to solve that.
Turn off that self-view thing.
Just don't put in a confidence display and they won't know.
Well, it's just right there in the self view of Zoom.
I have no control.
I have no control over any of that. But they prefer to have it off first and then have the option to enable. Same with student microphones. They prefer to have them muted first and have the option to enable them, mostly because they got tired of recording everybody making fun of them. But no, this is so every now and then you guys intrigue me to try something different.
Thanks for that rousing endorsement there, Jamie.
Yeah, so the ones we've played with also, like the L1s, Hudleys, and stuff like that. We've used those in a conference room.
Yeah, so Hudley, Biamp, Crestron. Well, Crestron doesn't install Hudley stuff. Who's the 361? Panacast, whatever.
Panacast, whatever.
Oh, yeah, that thing's dog.
I do want to say there's kind of a new generation of these coming out. By the way, Lumens, I saw a demo of that. I think they announced it at InfoComm. They have a little processor that does and it's based on audio cues, so the microphones pick it up. It's very straightforward, and they are driving that price down. It looks very intriguing. So take a look at the Lumens cameras and the Lumens processor. That's a very cool way to do it. But all the big manufacturers, I think, are doing something along these lines, Logitech and all the rest. But there's kind of a new generation of those, and Mark, I know you've used some of these, where they do the auto framing stuff, and then it will split up the view to even more specifically show people, to give a more, I don't know.
A multi-window thing.
Yes, a multi-window view of what's going on. And that's also very cool because in most cases, in fact, all
conversations, right?
It's done entirely in software. Yeah. And there's not more stuff you have to buy. So in a lot of cases, hey, that thing you already have got an update and now does this, or now has the ability to enable that. And so you can see this sort of thing happening, and to the point where now some of them, and just free plug for the folks at Neat who were talking about this a couple of weeks ago, they now have, you can put multiple cameras that can do that internally in the same system, and the cameras then share those streams back and forth to change up that multi-view. So some of these views are from this camera and some are from that camera. Yeah. So regardless of where you are in the room, or Justin, as you just said, people having a conversation get framed differently. So again, it's not for people in the room, it's for people remote. They have a more interactive and more involved experience. They feel like they're more part of the conversation
Instead
going on
of
in
that
the room.
Quick switch, you have two people on each side of the room having a conversation in one frame.
Or so in most cases, most of our conference rooms are just like, here's a long view of the room, and the person who's driving is usually the the dean, the chair, the department head, whoever at the far end, who is now, if you think about it, they're the smallest person on the view, and it's tough to see.
I thought it was really interesting because I sat on through a demo of like that. What's the instant, the action cam thing? Instant 360, or there's an action cam camera out there that made
action cam, like by Mattel, or
like
it sounds
GoPro, like a GoPro thing. But I think it's Insta 360. Okay. But they have a sound bar with the multiple camera thing, and this is all built into the software, and it's a single USB stream, and you can enact it and it basically breaks it down like our video here, right? Yeah, and then it also had the whiteboard feature on it. Yeah, it was really interesting, and it was from off-the-shelf Best Buy special kind of thing, and I was.
And you know their names, so we can tell people.
Yeah. No, and what's really bad is like I do know their name and I know the company, but right now it's not coming to me.
Go to your browser window and start doing this thing until you can find it.
I'm going. Hold on a minute.
So in our Zoom room deployments, we've done like the big.
Yeah, Insta 360.
We'll do a PTZ and we'll do
Instant
an L1.
or Insta?
We get the multi-stream thing.
Insta 360.
Insta 360. Sounds like a kitchen appliance.
Yes.
Okay. Insta360.com. Fair enough. So Jamie says looks cool. Maybe take a look at one. So
cool. Yeah, and again, they make action cams. They're a GoPro competitor. That's where I know them from. Okay. And then they had this thing, and I was like, okay, I'll sit in your 5-minute demo. And I actually drug Larry over there and was like,
was this out of like the soccer replay world kind of stuff?
Yeah, it is. It's like sports
I think we may have actually discussed this.
Look at this conference bar.
That's the one. See, just took me a little bit of time to get you there.
Right. So,
Mark,
auto cameras.
They sell a touch panel.
Zoom Room's doing the processing for this.
Yes.
And that's an added feature, right?
Yes. For those who have Zoom Rooms, there is multi-stream. If you have not played with that, if you have two of your AI magical driven cameras, one front, one back, you can enable multi-stream in your Zoom Room and have that multi-frame thing set up for you, which is neat to try and give it a try. Maybe you like it. Mileage may vary. But yeah, we have folks who do leverage that in some specific spaces to create that more engaging look for the far-end participants, and it does work. It's I think if you have an intentionally designed space and the things are in the right location, you can get the better version of that owl kind of a thing with the Zoom Room.
This whole episode should be called, the hypocrites.
Yeah,
the hypocrite hour. We badmouth these things for years, and we come on here and say, maybe they're not so bad.
They're maturing. They're maturing. Things are changing, and it's a matter of time, and then we'll get there.
They're growing up. They're losing some of their teenage.
Everything's moving towards automation. It is a march, right? And so we will obviously be doing more automation and more automagic things, whether it be microphones, cameras, or whatever it is, even just basic room automation, how things work for you. I think the days of needing to press all these buttons and do the tap dance and all this other stuff are coming to an end. We will start to leverage and lean into more of this automation.
Stop. If I can't put 7 different joysticks on my touch panel, I don't want it.
Joystick?
Like physically on the front?
Yeah.
Well, most people just put the little icons, but I like to put in the physical
joystick. Yes.
Jamie has a tactile haptic touch panels with physical joysticks on them. So, I do want to share one quick anecdote that we had. I may have mentioned this to you guys. I can't remember if I did on the show. It cracks me up, so I'm going to mention it. We did get a ticket where somebody said your automatic cameras have stopped working. Can you look into these and make them work again? And looked up the room and looked at that and went, that room doesn't have automatic cameras. And they went, no, yeah, it does. They're in here. They used to look at us all the time, move around all the time. Like, no, those are not automatic cameras. Seriously, those are not. There's no way that happened. And then in talking to someone in the department about it, and this was a historical thing because I wasn't there, they pointed out, oh, you know what? That was one of the old distance education rooms. And they were used to teaching in that space where there was an hourly student sitting on the other side of the wall, driving the cameras around. And then when they were scheduled in that room, it had been a few years, but they were scheduled in that room long after that system had been deprecated and removed, and there weren't students in there. They noted the cameras weren't moving, and they knew we were doing automatic cameras, so they simply assumed that the automatic cameras, which had worked so well for so many years, had suddenly stopped working.
Well,
so that was
arguably, you had a version of AI in there.
Yeah,
we did. His name was Steve, and he got paid $6 an hour to sit there and drive cameras around. So, and I know a lot of schools still do that. Yeah,
intelligence.
There's a lot of schools out there who still do that. That the model is to have an hourly student or somebody driving those because they want that kind of white glove level of service, and that's fine if that.
Well, everybody wants that, but I mean,
do they though?
Well, yeah. What teacher wouldn't want somebody running the tech in their class? But I mean, the feasibility of that is just not there anymore.
Yeah.
So if that's something you're interested in, or if you're interested, to your point, Justin, you're interested in maybe providing close to that level of capability, but at maybe a fraction of the cost, you're not paying people to it. Then there's a lot of automatic cameras out there.
You should just do automatic cameras and then scale it up depending on how important that is. Like if somebody doesn't care about the automatic camera, like I wouldn't buy a camera that doesn't do it for the same price as one that does. Is my point, right? I mean, it's the same cost. It's the same. It's there. Every camera's going to have it eventually. The market's pushing that way.
Not every camera, but most of them.
I'd say every camera's going to have that eventually.
Once you get to a threshold, if nothing else, they'll do it in software.
They're doing it on $100, $150 webcams now.
True. You're not wrong.
So it's like more expensive to get the camera without it, just like
exactly. Like I want a car without cruise control. It's like,
it's gonna cost you.
Have I got a deal for you?
So, Mark,
I'm not buying your shit.
You had mentioned displays and the challenges with them. Some of those getting cheaper, but maybe not with the features we want. Take a quick break, and Jamie's can tell us why you need to send us emails more often.
Okay.
It's not playing. Hold on.
As many of you know, the Super Friends have always been better received when we have more input from you. So, here's your chance. Send us a note at mailbag@avsuperfriends.com and get involved with the show. We're looking for some topics to discuss, some fellow nerds to talk to, or just general AV awesomeness to brag about. But remember, we'll probably steal your ideas. And I suppose we'd take some criticism, but that wouldn't be very nice. Anyway, drop us a note at mailbag@avsuperfriends.com and find out how quickly we ask you to join this nonsense.
Sorry, that was a full misfire. That cue did not go.
You just fat finger it, or the computer gets stuck?
No, it's did not want to launch.
It's
Weird.
Al.
It's Al. I need more Al driving this. So let's see if this one launches.
Wait, did Larry just say something and he's not here?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, Larry is joking that Al is a student worker. Larry can't be here, but he can
the entire time.
He can watch and listen and interact, but he can't.
Yes.
It's quality control.
Larry, we're going to have a discussion.
All right, so for our final little segment here,
he's not getting paid today.
Our final topic, we want to talk about commercial displays, which we all like to recommend. If you're going to get a display, get a commercial display for XYZ reasons. We all know, we don't need to hash that out.
Sure.
Displays are getting much cheaper now. Commercial displays, to the point where they're even, some companies are pitching
across the board, all displays are getting
correct.
cheaper. I saw
but we even have the same companies now pitching
$900.
commercial TVs.
Yes.
But with the same warranty and arguably the same quality panel and all that, with the caveat that means, in most cases, it comes with smart TV features. So these things that are getting way cheaper are arguably getting worse.
The reason they're cheaper is because it's not any different
than the ones you can buy at Best Buy, you mean?
Walmart.
In some cases, you're not wrong.
Well, it's a big race to the middle, right? And so, yeah, the smart ones are ubiquitous. They're everywhere. And I think it's just more cost effective for them to just slap that OS on there and call it a day versus them having to write their own thing from the ground up and do it. So that everything just becomes the same thing.
What sucks is that they still write the back end. I mean, like the TV
There's
still has
something there,
a
yeah.
running firmware hardware on it, or the display, but it's the fancy front end that has to run on this Android or something equivalent OS. And like, Jesus, just let us go right to the display.
No, you can't do it.
No, you can't.
Not for $700. If you want to go right to it, that's time saving. That's cost you money.
And I've had people push back when I point out, like, look, if you're talking about a signage display or whatever, and this is going to cost you $1,200 or $1,400, and they're like, what? That seems like it's $1,000 too high. And yes, we can go through all the reasons why you want that, but it also means it doesn't have the smart front end, because you don't inadvertently want it showing up on that, and then people getting into that menu, and then it's a whole mess of things. So,
Well, I'm continually having problems with, like we have what we thought were dumb displays, and they weren't, and they do require they're touch displays, and they do require an extra step to get them to click over out of smart into dumb, but that step can only be done locally.
Yes, on the interactives, that's a critical point, that they love to, even if you can bypass that programmatically, which in some cases you can, invariably at some point it boots back to the giant icon screen, and then they call because our conference room, whatever, is not working because we're on this thing and something didn't go, and they want you to go touch the like input 3 button, which is intuitive to nobody.
I even had a series of, well, a very large company we may have spoken about earlier. I bought some of the 98-inch, yeah, close to that, 98-inch displays from them. And they were dumb displays. There's no interactivity in them at all.
Until you turn them on.
Until you turn them on, but you can't get out of the, again, to Chris's point, the large icon of choose your input. You can't get past that with the API. Oddly enough, CEC works flawlessly. You send it the CEC to go to input 1, damn thing just works.
Well,
but if try to throw it an API to go to input 1, and it wants to fight.
Yeah. I want to play a little game called Devil's Advocate here.
Oh, shit.
Do we and are we guilty of caring too much about this kind of shit?
Yes.
In some scenarios, yes, because I will buy the ones that are smart displays for specific scenarios where I know it's not going to be and it's not going to cause any issues.
Because you mentioned, like, oh, I'm going to do a signage display, whatever. I'm going to slap this thing up, and then, I found some loose change in my department. I'm going to put a sign on the wall, and blah, blah, blah. It's going to be a directory. And I have a couple $100, whatever. And then you come back, and you're like, oh, you need a commercial grade display. It's going to burn out, blah, blah, blah. Has that person already come to the fact that they don't give a shit if this thing lasts longer than a year anyway? And so are we, like, by, like, getting hung up on all this little minutia?
I use the security aspect.
I'm not saying put it online. I'm not saying put the Wi-Fi on or any of that stuff.
No, you don't have a choice on some of these. So what I talk about is the supportability and reliability. You're putting up digital signage in a hallway, in a public space. Sure. A lot of these TVs that I've experienced from random ass manufacturers that you can't pronounce that you find at Best Buy and Walmart now, they have access points built in, and sometimes you can't turn those off. And sometimes near field communication can't be turned off, and you can just walk up with your iPhone and publish any kind of content you want to without permissions.
Oh, I'm not seeing that, but that's kind of cool.
Oh yeah.
And
so you start buying,
so I can stop buying.
I want those.
So we don't worry about warranty anymore. No one cares about warranty. What we care about and what the clients care about is perception of some bad content and bad actors.
It's brand control. You want to make sure that everything looks the way that it should look as day one as it does.
So the more dumb your monitor is, the less risky it is to put up for digital signage.
So you're saying there's no pictures of naked people on it.
I think we care more.
Well, I'm not saying there's not.
We get the tickets.
Sure.
Right? That's why our audience cares. It's because we're the ones tasked with making sure that it works for the dummy all the time.
Right. And I think in that environment, when you have control mechanisms and all that, like that's a little bit different thing. But just on a wall as a digital sign, I will take it even further. Maybe it's not in a public hallway. Maybe it's just going to be in an office where it's just sitting in this controlled environment.
So, and that's exactly right. In places, say it's in even in a conference room.
That's less risky. I don't really care as much.
Yeah,
but do you allow it? Or are you like steadfast?
I do. So recently, in the last year, I've started doing that. Like,
what do you mean by allow?
If this is in your conference room and it's only like the same 12 people who are going to go in and use it, okay, great. It can be a smart display because you can go in and you know which giant icon to press to actually switch over to the computer to have.
So let me ask you that: how are you procuring these?
Internet? What do you?
Cans full of penny.
What do you mean internet? So like your university, you can just buy from Walmart or Costco or anywhere you want?
Well,
you could theoretically.
Some do. I mean, we get some say in like the sign
Let
off.
me
yes,
withdraw.
they can just
Let me
order from
withdraw the
whoever.
term allow and say, would you recommend? Let me
I
change that
would
to allow
never
to
recommend a smart display or consumer grade unless...
Wait. I didn't say consumer grade.
I did.
That's why I'm confused.
I'm playing
about.
devil's advocate. I'm saying yes.
See,
Yeah.
we're not all talking about the same thing.
See, okay, yeah, I retract everything I said for last.
No, that's what I was like, hold on, what are we talking about?
There's certain areas where I honestly don't care.
Take it back.
Yeah,
Okay.
there are certain times.
Are there times
like
when,
Mark
your
said,
client knows
care.
that this thing's going to die in 2 years and they don't care? They don't want to pay the
No,
full
that's
markup
never
for the
a
commercial grade, and they're
conversation.
okay if I'm going to buy this thing for $500. I'm going to run it for 2 years and I'm going to throw it in the trash. Like
so the only people that
You've
do
just
that
described
on
our e-waste program.
are athletics. Athletics,
yes,
does that.
they're notorious. They'll go down to Costco and load a whole truck up full
Oh
of
no.
TVs and come down.
So athletics, so this was a couple years ago. They wanted outdoor TVs in the stadium, and we're like,
TVs put them outside. Outdoor TVs.
okay, so you all probably don't have the money for this, but this is what that looks like, and you have under canopy and full sun and all that crap, right?
Exposed.
And they were like, well, what if we just take them down after the season and then put them up at the beginning of the season? I'm like, you all.
I want to talk about they real quick.
Well,
They'll just-
okay.
they'll just-
Well,
they'll just
I'm
call
not
it
done
in,
with the
put in a
story.
ticket real
Hold on.
quick.
Hold
Just
on. I'm not
runs
done with the
over
story. Not done with the story. Still in the middle of the story.
Okay.
So we said, if you guys want to go out and buy consumer grade TVs and mounts and install them yourselves and take them down yourself, go for it. So we have these tents down at the end zone, just regular tents. They started hanging TVs.
This story's intense.
Inside of the tents with zip ties.
Intensities.
Zip ties. They're hanging up by zip ties. And then around the stadium,
Never
they
underestimate a
hang,
zip tie.
they have the student workers hang the TVs at the beginning of the season and then take them down. And then they reevaluate which ones broke. And then they go out and buy new ones. I'm like, who is calculating total cost of ownership? Because by the time you bought the pro grades for $5-10 grand a piece, you've paid for labor like 3 years ago, and you're still doing the labor, and you're still dealing with broken TVs.
Justin, we're talking about this is priceless.
So yes, we do have some clients that say, that's too expensive, just $500 special. And
I'm
then
not saying. Don't hear what I'm not saying. I'm not saying I'm out here.
Part of their
recommending a bunch of
standard
shit.
operating procedure and their labor for
Yeah, I
whatever
get
they
you.
do
I got you.
internally.
Yeah.
Every year, it's a whole we got to go put up graphics at the stadium. We have to go and make sure that everything's cleaned up. We got to make sure everything, the field is all clean. And then we have to put up TVs. Right.
Like, and I get you. I'm not saying you should be out there just
We don't.
doing all your shopping at Walmart.
We
for all your
can't
AV things.
buy
That's not what I'm saying.
consumer grade TVs. So when the client says we want you to provide a consumer grade TV that's cheap, we're like, we can't even do that. Because what happens is we contact our procurement people and they buy it off Walmart and then upcharge us anyway. Like, so we're not going to do that. If you want a consumer grade TV,
Wait, procurement takes a cut?
no, the procurement so we buy it from an integrator. Diversified has to go and buy one from Walmart, upcharge it, and then ship it to us if we wanted to do that.
Oh, it's not.
We're not.
Yeah.
We can't buy consumer grade TVs. We can't buy from Amazon. There's only certain things that we can buy from Amazon. There's only certain things that we can buy from certain places, and it's all regulated. So,
Sure.
it's
all policy and red tape.
yeah.
Anyway, I'm just curious. They were just playing a game. And so it sounds like maybe Jamie has some scenarios where and maybe myself, I think there's office spaces and things that are not, I'm not having a processor controlling things. I'm not
There are
asking
times
it
I
to do
just
all this
don't
other
care.
stuff. And it's like, you know what? You're going to soften around the standard.
And those
or
times
your
are called
stance.
digital signage.
Yeah, exactly.
Well,
That's
every
the one
so
I
Those people
don't.
don't care either.
every so often you get us like a student organization where they have a small huddle table inside of their little office, inside of their little thing, and like they only have $200. I give them the warning, like, look, you call us, we show up, this and it's broke. There's nothing I'm not replacing it. It is what it is.
When it
You're
breaks
buying it
down,
at
did you
Walmart.
feel that you
well,
got
hold on,
fair
hold on.
value
I don't
out of it?
understand that. Like,
What?
you're gonna put it in for him originally, but you're not gonna replace it when it dies.
No, normally it's
He means replace it out of his stock.
Replace. He's not going to pay to replace it.
Yeah, I'm not paying a
They would
replacement.
they would be
that
free to
you
buy their
all-
own thing again.
You all have your own budget. We don't. We operate off everybody else's budget, so everybody has
So-
to pay for their own shit anyway.
Yeah, it'd be the same thing. But if
And
you
most of
bought
the time,
some other things, hung it up, and
these
it died,
people are taking it out of the box on its stupid cheap stand and literally setting it on the end of the table. There's no wall mount. There's nothing. And at some point, I just don't care. But if it's anywhere where I have to actually deal with it, no. I'm much more picky.
Okay. Wow, yeah.
So
deal
just
for
to
you.
just
I
to
saw a
run
thing
the
yesterday.
gamut here. On Monday, we have a building where I think I've talked with this
Only on
offline
Mondays?
anyway. We have a building where, based on when the building was designed, there are multiple LCD-based video walls that have all crapped out in 3 or 4 years because, hey, high quality from our favorite manufacturer who makes fantastic LCD panels that die immediately. I am replacing 3 of the video walls on Monday with just big old giant 100-inch, and it's a straight up, it is sold as a professional grade smart TV because A, they're putting,
Professional grade
well,
smart.
yes, there's a huge cost savings on that. B, I'm willing to try it because it is in a not limited access building sort of thing, but it's just running signage, and someone goes around every morning at the turns them on and turns them off. So hey, here you go. Here's your remote. It's just running the PC stuck behind it. There's nothing fancy going on there. I'm not doing any automation. I don't care about any
You
of
don't
that.
schedule those to go on?
No,
and off
because
with your
here's the problem
digital
with scheduling.
signage?
I never schedule digital signage because here's the problem.
We always do that.
That clock fucking drifts, and suddenly it's
Not
3
if you
a.m.
put in the NTP. I mean, you got to put in your.
Oh,
Bullshit.
don't.
Bullshit.
No.
Bullshit.
Wrong.
They will all drift eventually.
No.
Yes,
they
they will.
resync.
Every single one will drift.
That is the
Screw
only
it.
thing that works correctly at your campus is the clock.
OptiSigns, and that's we have in 3 years of deploying those, we haven't had a clock problem at all. That's more on the Crestron side because none of our Crestron systems are connected to the internet. So
Wait. Your processors are freeballing it, but you're putting your digital signage online.
how do you not put your digital signage online? How do you what are you guys doing for digital signage? We need to have a digital signage show. Are you serious?
Little appliance there that runs all that shit. That display is a dumb display.
How would people are people dragging USB sticks to your signage
No.
because they're not online?
No.
Why
The
not?
appliance, the little thing behind it is running all that.
Which is connected to the internet so that people can upload content to it.
Yeah,
Correct.
with the USB stick.
So therefore, turn on your clock sync. It's
I'm with you
not
for clock.
rocket science.
I am all for time automation on display, so I'm with you on this. Justin.
I don't
Yeah, I
trust
don't
it.
understand.
Just like Jamie said about the automatic cameras, I don't trust it. They may have fixed that 10 years ago. Don't
You
care.
just spent
Don't trust
30
it.
minutes selling them to everybody listening to this damn show.
37.
What, an automatic display
37
control?
Yeah.
minutes.
Automated stuff. Cool.
All right.
On that
well,
note,
all that to be said,
I'm
we'll see
so
how it goes, but yes,
confused.
displays are cheaper, sort of better. Make sure you get a good warranty, or buy them from Walmart and throw them away when they're done. So
right, disposable displays.
yeah, they're all
One-time
disposable.
use.
Just throw them away.
Just buy e-ink.
Dang it! Why didn't I run the analog digital signage thing?
Ah, well, it's okay. Get us out of here, Chris.
Yeah, e-ink. Speaking of which, we saw that cool e-ink display at Infocom. That company doesn't know how to sell that.
No, they didn't know what they
They
had.
had no clue on how to sell
They're
that.
like, look, it changes. It's like,
It's a
I
thing.
know. Just talk to, yeah.
All right,
God.
there's a mini show some other day.
All right, we'll be back on Friday with some sort of stream. Well, we've managed to ruin yet another episode of AV SuperFriends Off the Rails. You can contact us with questions, topic ideas, or general complaints at mailbag@avsuperfriends.com. If you complain loud enough, we might just invite you on the show.
Nice work, everyone. Sharp broadcast. Really good. Everyone on the floor as well. Really a lot of hustle. I liked it.
The opinions expressed by the AV SuperFriends are solely those of the individuals and do not represent their respective institutions, organizations, companies, or clients.